So, firstly, I was born the longest baby on record in Reading Hospital. Boom. That's the start of it.
Okay.
Which meant there wasn't enough room in the womb. I was late, like the whole really late term, and then it just human adaptation. I'd managed to curl my feet up underneath my armpits, and they'd taken on a deformity in that space of time. So I was compromised at that stage, being born. So I had to have plaster cast boots for the first 12 weeks. They'd have to be changed every week.
Wow. Through
that process, because of course, growing would have cut off circulation. So there was that. My mum then was traumatized by that, this thing. She had to keep going, getting it done. My dad was busy at the time, so there's a kind of that. There's a weave of that in there.
Okay.
And then I had to wear boots with a brace. So they would prise my feet open and then do the brace up, so it would start to turn my feet out into position.
Wow.
That's in the trauma of the event, I believe. It's kind of steered me where I've been coaching, I guess, and part of the lifestyle of being barefoot. I think trauma kind of guides us along a certain path, really takes us by the hand.
Wear those boots and that whole contraption as a kid?
I don't think it's long. It's really just until I guess I was up to the stage where I was standing, I guess, and then it was just in the growth stage of it. So it's not like I had to have a frame or anything. It was just at really early stages.
Wow, but so your whole relationship with standing and being on your feet started with a bunch of artificial devices.
It's like the real Forrest Gump, right? But my mum would say I had just such strong legs. She said it was just ridiculous. I was doing, let's say I was lying on my front, I was doing like hamstring curls with this brace, you know. Wow. She said you were incredibly strong. So I think that's in the real seed or the acorn of the event.
Okay.
And then I've always talked about, right, I'm not ready for endurance yet. I'm not ready to do a really big thing. You know, I never felt old enough. Do you know what I mean? And then
How old are you now?
I'm 44 now. And then I know in my 40s, I'd already thought, you know, I think I'm gonna run from Land's End to John O'Groats. But we were already, you know, I had stuff developing. We had another child on the way, which was Tallulah. It's always, you know, you have another child, and we've got 3 daughters already. And then December, I just said, you know, I'm gonna go and do this. I'm gonna run. I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run from Land's End to John O'Groats. But I'm gonna do it barefoot. And there was a series of ceremonies that I did. And what flagged up for me was the boots that I wore as a child.
Okay.
And
what type of ceremonies?
Ayahuasca ceremonies and yeah.
So psychedelic.
So around about that time, so plant medicine.
Okay.
And then within it, one of them was very clear. It was like I saw my boots, and it was this message of lose the shoes. So I then put it out there. Right, I'm going to do this run, and it's going to be about losing the shoes. And then, what are the shoes, and what is being barefoot? Oh, it's a platform. Oh, I'm going to create a platform. What am I connecting to when I'm running barefoot? I'm connecting to the earth. So okay, I need to. There's a bigger picture here. Let's do a sustainability run. Let's make it about the environment and raise awareness for sustainability issues and the environment. And raise funds for, I think, 6 organisations and charities that we could put it out there, this bigger picture, bigger message.
Okay.
So at first it was to explore physicality and I think demonstrate human potential because there's so much untapped there. I've worked with women's work and breath work and ice baths and just it's always surprising where you can go and where you can take the mind. And in movement, it's always been the same. I've been a movement coach for years, you know, and then we went down this path of living a natural lifestyle. And then the more I could connect to nature, the more I started to feel like I was unraveling this innate system. And I think barefoot running just became that. It got to the point where I could literally run over anything. And people were like, how are you doing that? And it's like, I'm tuning into what I'm doing. And the more I exposed myself to it, the more compliant and softer I became over terrain. So that's where it went. It went, right, let's explore the physicality, and now let's also raise awareness. So that's kind of that's okay. Where the depth of it came
When did you start barefoot running? I mean, you know, any kind of distance or playing with that whole...
Well, I think as a kid, again, was the main part of it. Like, we lived in a concrete existence. We lived in a village, and punctuated in amongst that, we'd go and play in a wreck. Gravel pits, it was called. We had to, you know, we had to get across a bridge. It was like literally get across with your nails and like stepping across a ledge to get across it with intercity trains blasting underneath. And then we get into nature and it's like, yeah, and we kick our shoes off and we go climbing trees and get into streams. again, exploring our physicality. So that has always been a connection to me. It's punctuated in amongst a concrete existence, nature. So that's like rewilding in a way to an urbanite experience, which I think is wrapped in what I do again today. And then in my school, again, even on a tarmac playground, I'd be running around barefoot. If we had races, I'd run barefoot. Entering my first 400-meter race, I won clearly by 150 meters. So I always had something.
And you did it barefoot?
And I did it barefoot.
And they let you?
And they let me, but that was in really early schooling, on grass, on a grass running track. You know? Okay. And as it started to progress, then it was no longer cool to behave like that, you see.
Right.
It was now cool to wear Nikes, Air Max. Then it was cool to smoke weed, and it was cool to do this, and it was cool to do that. So suddenly all that stuff about the physicality, or being boys and lads and, you know, being a tribe, we were being that somewhere else with a different kind of normalized behavior.
Right. So that natural connection to nature and thirst to be connected to nature was taken over by a social structure.
Exactly.
And you wanted to conform like any adolescent does.
Yeah.
Because that social structure is your lifeline. Back in the old days, that's what kept you alive.